Hello, my fellow readers. It is I, Dark Symphony 777, with another fanfiction video. As always, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, click on that bell for notifications, and leave a comment in the comment section below on your thoughts of the video. So, I wanted to branch out and do other aspects of fanfiction and fanfiction related stuff. And I thought, why not, we talk about different stuff. But then I was talking to my friend Lady Armister, and she's actually suggested, why don't you do a video on reviews? And so that actually got me thinking, and she actually provided some context on how certain fanfictions that are good don't particularly get a lot of reviews, but bad stories tend to get more, and some people think that just because a story has a lot of reviews automatically makes it good. And I thought, that's actually not a bad idea, so I thought I'd start with this. So I do think there is pros and cons to this whole the idea behind reviews. Because most people will kind of go for what's popular and stuff like that. But on the other hand, Lady Armister was right in saying that a lot of the more reviewed fanfictions are either mediocre or they have some kind of outside factor to them, and I thought I'd talk about that. So most of the factors related to a story, whether it be popular or not, is mainly psychological. Us as humans, we're very tribal. We like to be in cliques and groups and stuff like that. And it's basically how humans work. So some people, when it comes to fan bases, some fans are more zealous than others. Some may start fads and stuff like that, and other stuff. And I'm basically gonna talk about that. There's basically three main components. There's a bunch of others, but I'm gonna talk about the three most probably in my opinion, the three most well-known ones. The first one is fads. Fads are something that happened throughout history when something has inexplicably become popular, and people just like to play it and just to be in the in crowd, to be popular. I mentioned in an earlier video that one example was fidget spinners. Like, does anyone even acknowledge that? Does anyone even know fidget spinners are a thing? Like, no, it's just for a couple months they became ridiculously popular, and then they just dropped off the face of the earth. That fidget spinner is a fad. And even in fandoms, there are such a thing as fads. So I'm actually on the fanfiction main page right now, and I'm going to show you some examples of fads and stuff like that. So first one I'm going to go to is actually Castlevania. Now, the reason I wanted to start with Castlevania is I had a condition with Lady Armister. I'm going to be completely transparent. I had a condition with Lady Armister, and that if I took her idea, I have to at least mention Castlevania. I have to. And I also have to show her story. So let me actually get that out of the way. Where is it? There it is. Read the story! Read the story! Oh yeah, that's out of the way. I wanted to get that. I wanted to get the shield out of the way. But seriously, go read Nightfall. It's amazing. I'm actually helping Lady Armister work on the story. It's a labor of love from her. I'm really excited to actually be helping her work on the story, so, just give her a review sometime. But, now, back to the fads. Now, I bet you're wondering, wait, did you just pick Castlevania to shield her story? So, no. There is a very specific reason why I chose Castlevania first, and that is because of the Castlevania anime. Now, I've been reading fanfictions for about a decade now. I've been reading literature as a whole for over 2 decades now, and I can tell when something becomes a fad, and you can actually see that through fanfiction. And one of the things I always did was I always checked out the Castlevania section, and I always looked at, like, well, okay, what's coming out, what's being updated, like, what's being completed. And when the Castlevania anime came out, like the first season came out, we saw this massive influx of anime-inspired fanfictions. So I'm just gonna go through the first couple stories. Here, Castlevania, anime, Die High. Sorry, I couldn't resist. Let's see. I think this is anime. Let's see. No, that's not anime. That's Summer Cruise. That's not it. Okay, but you get the point. And this is actually like post. This is actually like post season 3 right now. It's kind of telling where, like, you can actually read stories, and you can tell where a fandom is at by kind of going through the fan fiction. Like, if you see any stories that are very similar, then there's probably some kind of fad going on. And with the Castlevania, it was the anime. Like, seriously, there was a shit ton of anime-inspired fan fictions that played out over the course of the first and second season. It kind of died down with the third season once, like, most of the fan base kind of realized it's kind of declining in quality. Not to mention, a lot of the anime fans are actually discovering the games, and you know, they fell in love with the games. Now anime lovers are now writing the games, which is why now you see on this first page, you see actually, you know, fan fictions that are based on. I don't know what this one is about. I don't know. I'm just saying that one. But the Castlevania is kind of a weird spot when it comes to the fandom, because when the anime was first announced, and the first anime was introduced, there was Castlevania got a huge influx of fans, and a lot of them didn't even know that the Castlevanias were based off the game series. Like, if you know me, Castlevania is my favorite video game series of all time. My two favorite video games of all time are Castlevania Symphony of the Night and Castlevania Order of Ecclesia. I love the both games. And so I would literally, for like 2-3 pages, I saw nothing but like anime-inspired stories. And that's even... And I don't know if I'll be able to replicate where this one's from. I probably would have to go... Mainly because some of them were just, you know, you would have to dig. Let me see if I can find it. This publishing date. Okay, season, okay. So you see a bunch of like anime and Castlevania inspired stories now. But when the anime was first revealed, it was just page after page after page of the anime. And the anime became very popular, and so what people did, let me go here, is, you know, people would start see the Castlevania anime. This was written into 2018. Its last updated was at the end of 2018, and it has 140 reviews. Around this time, there was a couple other stories out that were actually better than the story, and it didn't really get a lot of reviews simply because a lot of people were so focused on the anime that they ignored it, and it just kind of, you know, it kind of created some kind of fracture between the Castlevania fans. Not that there wasn't fractures before, because there's always been like fractures with the Castlevania game franchise, which kind of games were the most popular, like whether the original, the Igavania, the Metroidvanias, or the 3D Vanias. You know, it's always going to be like warring between them. But, you know, the anime kind of didn't help matters because you know, the anime came in and all these new fans came in, and they just completely didn't know the games existed. And when everyone tried to tell them that the games, you know, that it's based off of games, they would ignore them and say talk only about the anime. So I do think, you know, the anime right now is kind of in a weird spot with that. It really didn't need to continue, but I digress. That's for another time. But back to this. Sorry. Flashbacks. Back to this. And it's not just Castlevania. It's other. Let's go to Naruto. If you actually, let's see, English. Yeah, let's see that. So let's see. Let's see if I can find any of like Castlevania is not the only fandom that's done this. Like any large fandom has fads that go on with the fandom, and they kind of become well known amongst that specific fandom, especially people who read and write fan fictions. With Castlevania, it was the anime. With Naruto, it was actually harem stories. Like I'm not even joking. There was so many harem stories. I think let's actually look at the top reviews. Don't ignore that. Let's actually go here. Let's see. See if we can actually find. Is it harem? I think this is a harem if I remember right. This is that's based off the Persona story. Let's see. I think no. Yeah, there was like you don't only see like this one, like this across dimension. What would happen if you're given the choice? Yeah, that's the most popular harem. But I bet you if I find this, let's see. Actually, let's actually look real quick. No. You know what? Let's do this. Harem. Let's just look. Look. 3,721 harem fanfictions. That is actually insane. Like, Naruto hasn't had a harem problem. I think for the most part it's gone now. And like I said, it's not exclusive to Castlevania in Naruto. Lots of other fanfiction do this. With One Piece, Peggy Sue's. With Yu-Gi-Oh! There seems to be like a there seems to be like fads that kind of keep appearing and reappearing because depending on what's going on with the fandom, like it always switches from like lots of really good fan fictions that focus on the dueling to the point it kind of overshadows everything and switching with like yaoi stuff. So it's kind of always fluctuating between those two. Hetalia, I'm pretty sure there was a big fad with like shipping certain with like actual World War II, so they always like play. I can't remember. Bleach, I think it's always retelling. Dragon Ball Z, it's just I can't remember. I'm not in tune with every single fandom. I'm just going by the ones that I know of. Ruby has like a very big thing with, I think currently a lot of the big thing with Ruby right now is AUs and fix because simply the writing of Ruby is so bad. So, Ruby has like a lot of fix. And, but going back to my main contention with fads, is there's always going to be fads on any fandom. And usually when those fads come, then a lot of people will focus on those stories and not really look at the quality. They'll just look at it. Like another thing was, this one's actually more relevant because I reviewed this story. Where was it? Steven Universe. So, a while ago, I reviewed a story called Don't Even Bother. Right here. By Glasshawk. And if you actually notice, it has 657 reviews. Now, when I uploaded this video, I got a message from the person who recommended me this story. And he told me the only reason why the story got so many reviews was at the time the story was published, which was August 2015, Peridot was literally just introduced in the Steven Universe story. So Peridot was just introduced, and that kind of also segues into my second thing, and that is the popularity of a character. and I basically kind of said, and Peridot's kind of a weird one because it's kind of a fad and a memorable character because a lot of people really loved Peridot. So Peridot as a character became a fad. Like, characters can become fads too, but they're kind of different because certain characters will have certain priority amongst the fan base. Oh, let's go. So, let's actually stick with Steven Universe for now. At the time, and this is from the person who recommended the story. At the time this story was reviewed, Peridot, everyone was just in love with Peridot. So any story that had Peridot as a character was getting a lot of reviews. And I think he even joked that you could write a story with just Peridot washing paint dry or drinking water or do something very mundane and it'll get a lot of reviews. Like, that's how popular Peridot became. And so she became a fad, and then once the fad kind of died out, she kind of became another character and stuff like that. But let's move on to another example. Let's go to Mario. Like, I think Mario... Mario is kind of weird with how it does everything. So basically, the reason I'm doing Mario is because I think this is the greatest indicator of how things work, is the fact that when it comes to characters, people will rely more on more popular characters, more well-known characters, and so that will actually be kind of a driving force for if a story gets lots of reviews or not. So let's just do this, and let's look. There's 9.3 thousand stories, so let's go with Mario. Let's just go with the main man himself, Mario. Out of that 9.3 thousand, there is 2.7 thousand. And that's not counting the stories because in the early days of fan fictions, I don't think they had the character tags. So a lot of stories, had Mario as a main character, but they didn't put they didn't put him in the tag. So, it kind of relevant. And Mario is the main character. So let's actually go to Luigi. 2.2. Luigi is popular, but he's not as well known as Mario. He's the second banana. He's the guy that everyone remembers after Mario. So it kind of makes sense for him to not really have as many stories as possible. It's just it. So the more popular the character, the more likely that story evolves. Like, if you mention that character in the story, you're going to have more stories of that character. So let's keep going. Let's see. Let's do Peach. Peach is as popular as Mario, so there's probably going to be a lot of fan fictions about her. So 1.5. But going, like, Peach was popular, but now she's not really as popular simply because other characters have taken center stage. Like I said, it always, when it comes to fads, even characters can become fads. Like with Mario, there was a big fad with Bowsette. A lot of stories were written about Bowsette. Not really a lot, actually. It was more of an art thing. But there was some fan fictions about Bowsette. Let's see. Let's go to Vivian. And let's actually do one more. Let's do Vivian. Vivian, of course, is a character from Paper Mario The Thousand Year Door, and she only has 62. And I always kind of reference the fact that Vivian is very popular. But the thing is, Vivian is one of those characters that the hardcore fan base kind of love, and only the players who kind of remember her, because when it came to Thousand Year Door, Vivian was the most popular character, and it's part of the reason why. Where was it? Not better. Where is it? Wait, I don't think. Oh wait, Vivian doesn't have tag. Let me just go here. Okay. Let's see. So yeah, where is she? Right here. Better Off Alone. If you actually look at the time where the story was published, it was 2005. So let's actually do Paper Mario TTYT, which is short for Paper Mario. This is when the game came out, July 2004. So it was actually a year after Paper Mario Thousand Year Door came out. And so at the time, a lot of people really liked Vivian. People were still playing Thousand Year Door, developing, finding stuff to love, and people just really loved her. And even Better Off Alone, yeah, it was a very, very well written story, but it still kind of suffered from being the author striking when the time was right, when people were still. Everyone had characters like Vivian and Grodus and Lord Crump and the Shadow Queen on their mind. So, it was very much a time amongst the Mario fan base where there wasn't really a lot going on with Mario specifically outside of Thousand Year Door. And I think maybe they were getting started on Partners in Time. I think around this time, Partners in Time was being developed. I don't remember. No. I can't remember. No, I don't think so. DS was out this time. But yeah. So, there was a lot going on amongst the fan base and stuff like that. And, there's so much stuff just kind of playing out and how everything kind of runs around. Like, Vivian was popular. Like, she's still popular nowadays, but she's really only restricted to the fan base of Paper Mario. But if you go to the farther, like the people who never even heard of Paper Mario or kind of tangentially know about Paper Mario, they're probably not going to know who Vivian is. But if you ask anyone who is a diehard Paper Mario fan, you're gonna get, yeah, I know who Vivian is. Vivian was that awesome character, and that that kind of was kind of the reason why Better Off Alone became as good as it did. And the same thing goes with like any fandom. Like, okay, let's go to Yu-Gi-Oh. Let's go for Yu-Gi-Oh. Okay, so we're gonna go with Yugi. Let's go with Gamma Yugi. Let me just get English 9.3. Okay, so where's Seto Kaiba? Seto Kaiba is probably the more recognizable character, so he's probably gonna have as many, if not either a little less or a little more. And he has way more. Because when people think Yu-Gi-Oh, they think of Seto Kaiba before Yugi. And I see that's the second thing with, you just go, it's just character popularity. The more popular the character, the more people are going to flock towards that story simply because it mentions that character. So I'm going to go one more. I'm going to go back to Castlevania. And yes, I gotta keep shilling the story. So yeah, just bear with me. Nightfall. The main character in Nightfall is Walter Bernhardt. Walter Bernhardt is not exactly a popular character. Walter Bernhardt was kind of a forgettable character from Castlevania Limited Innocence. He was the main antagonist of that game. Most people just remember more about that game as, the game where you see the story how the Belmont started their war with Dracula. Or if they remembered a character introduced, they will more than likely remember Joachim Armbster rather than before thinking of Walter. But this story is very good. But most of the stories in the Castlevania fandom are about either Alucard, 272, or where is he? I think not Dracula. Or I think it was Alucard and Soma. No, Soma has that little story. Okay, never mind. So pretty much just Alucard. So more people are more likely to look at stories which have Alucard as the main character or as a character rather than say someone like Walter, who all but the most diehard fans even remember. Despite the fact, Walter has a fan right here. Shoo! So that is the first of the two. And the last one is tags. Let's actually go to Pokemon. Let's go to reviews. Let's go to this. Let's go. Now this one's kind of self-explanatory. Certain people will flock towards certain stories if they have a certain words, and that is on the synopsis. So let's do this. Let's see. Time travel based on the anime. So, So some people will actually flock towards certain stories based on if certain word, based on what it says in the synopsis. This is synopsis. Time travel based off the anime. So the world ended. That's bad news. Who best to get to fix it? Well, there is this guy with a track record in world saving. Not entirely serious. T rating may be overdoing it. So some people, when it comes to stuff like tags and genres, people will flock towards them if it appeals to them as a person. So, like me, what kind of story would appeal to me as a person? Transformation. Transformation. See, a small. Let's do this. You're seeing prime. You're seeing prime stuff right here. Let's see, complete. Okay. Let's see. Let's do that. No. So I have a thing. See, Alan finds himself transformed into a golem. See, I'll probably read that simply because it has transformation. I have a thing with transformation. That's just me. That is just me. But that kind of plays into what I'm talking about. Like when it comes to when you write what the story is about. Let me compare it to something that a lot of people do. Like if you go to a library or Barnes & Noble or any of those stories and you look and you go find a story, what's the first thing you do? You turn the book around and you read the synopsis on the back. So lots and lots of people the first thing they will do is they will read the synopsis before even going to read the story. So if the synopsis is eye-catching and it appeals to certain people based on, like all these other factors like fads and characters and stuff like that, then they're more likely to read it. So this is actually the most popular, this is actually the most reviewed fan fiction on Pokemon. And I've actually heard of Ashes of the Past. It's actually one of the few fan fictions I've actually heard of before I never actually read it. I heard the story was actually really, really good. But, a lot of people were just saying, oh, it's time travel with Ash going back in time and fixing everything. Some people will like that. It's the same thing with probably the easiest way I can explain this is actually with Ruby. So like I said, so let's actually go to the reviews, this, and let's show what's the most popular. Okay. Victory can prove bitter, especially when you're the only one alive to see it. With the world in chaos and everyone he ever loved dead, one arc makes a deal with the devil for one last chance to go back and change it all. But devils don't play by the same rules as humans, and Salem never did say how far back he'd go, or how much deeper the war between her and Osmond really went. So, first up, a lot of people like one arc. Second off, the synopsis flat out says there's going to be time travel. A lot of people like time travel because Ruby, a lot of people who write, I just noticed all these, oh my god, are these all, no, okay. It's like, I just noticed that all the top stories on Ruby are the same guy. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. What the? 10? 11? What the? Okay. 12. 13. 14 out of the 20 top Ruby fanfictions are this guy. I wasn't expecting that. So it talks about a character that people really like. The synopsis is very, very eye-catching. It does a lot of wordplay. It references time travel because, like I said, a big fad within the Ruby fandom right now is fix because people really, really don't like the writing of Ruby, so they make up scenarios to try and fix everything. Oh, let's go this one. One is really dreamed of being a hero, of being someone, but dreams were just that. And for the world of Remnant, the class you were born into permanence your fate. Jane was born a blacksmith, and thus that was his destiny. But when a strange opportunity allows him to change that, can a simple blacksmith become something more within the Beacon Academy of Heroes? So it's more of a rags to riches story. So I don't like that. See, this one's another one. This one's one. Like, all these are one. Okay, one. Are all these stories one? Okay, finally. Finally went without one. A single intimate night together, and it lit. Okay, see, this one's. See, this one is romance. It's like, I think, polygamous relationship. Homework. See, also, and no enabler. See, it just. See, it's kind of a fic. So, like I said, then there's more Juan. Yeah, this is just Drabbles. I'll spin. Okay, see. There's all sorts of stuff. So let's go to one more. Let's actually go to Yu-Gi-Oh! I'm a fan of Yu-Gi-Oh! So let's go. Yes. And reviews. And the Yu-Gi-Oh! Harry Potter crossover. Why is this not in crossover? Okay, so Yugi, Ryo, and Malak are invited to Hogwarts. Howard Dark Forces have discovered the existence of the Millennium Items. Look, this is a big example. This, like, do you think people are gonna really care about this fandom, like, because of how this is? But no, at this time, I believe 2002. I think this was around the time when the Harry Potter movies became, like, really, really popular. Oh no, 2002. It was when Battle City. So it was the introduction of, I think, Merrick and stuff like that. You know, see, Slight Yaoi, Princess Abducted by Dragon. See, AU/, like, people will go to stuff that they say AU/. So, you know, stuff like that. So let's go one last place before I end this, and I'm going back to shill mode. Sorry, I got to do it. Do I regret shilling this story? No! Because this story is amazing. So let's go back to Nightfall. Beloved by the night, Walter Bernhard thought he was content with power and eternity. After a chance encounter, he realizes love may be a greater game than any he has ever played. Now he must decide how far he will go and how much he is willing to lose in order to win. So let's actually compare that with her other story, Melancholia. Right here. Jokai was once human, a proud young nobleman. His fall into vampirism came at a high price. However, his unwillingness to accept his fate was more than Walter bargained for. So it's basically, you know, it's kind of a hint for domination. People will obviously read into it by saying, oh, it's possibly a yaoi and stuff like that. And everything. So, you know, so despite the fact Nightfall has a more dynamic and well-developed synopsis, people will more gravitate towards this simply because of the implications of what's being said. Jokai was once human. There's, you know, he was a proud young nobleman. There's hints of Slash, which actually does happen in the story. He falls into vampirism. Like, more euphorisms for a story. Wow, there's a guy named Walter. Oh, there's another guy. So yaoi. So people are more willing to just look at the story, realize that they're referencing all the male on male sex, and then just go read it and not even care. And let's go to Deluge. I really missed the story. Shinoa emerged from Dracula's castle a free yet broken woman. She returned to Weigal village and the aid of a friend long determined to release her from Ecclesia's long-lasting grip, but a dark reminder seared into the warrior's flesh caused the ire of a vengeful force. So, first off, characters, Yuri. Second, I believe at this time, like, this was, I think, the first fan fiction that actually, I'm using this as one final thing. So, yeah, what is the oldest? Oh, no, never mind. So okay, so yeah. I say an uncommon jewel, fantasy femslash. People are just gonna see 10 reviews. But if I read this story, will the story actually be good? That's kind of the end result of all of this. And it's not that. There we go. And it's kind of the same thing with favorites, but to a less extent. People are more likely to read and look at these stories if they meet certain criteria. Or is the character popular enough that they know of and they're more familiar with? Is the story technically following a fad? Is the synopsis eye-catching and people are gonna read into it, or they're just gonna see the tags and say, that's just my fetish and I'm gonna like it. There's so many, like I said, there's more than just these three things, but these are the three things that I know of that are pretty much the most common. And so people are gonna gravitate more towards stuff related to those. Again, there's more like it, if it's a genre that they like people are gonna like dramas. Like, I'm a sucker for drama. If you actually noticed, I meant in my top 10 favorite fan fictions, I mentioned I had like a tier list, and the top tiers is like Better Off Alone tier. All the stories in that tier are basically dramas, or at least for the most part have drama elements to them. Better Off Alone, Total Alternate Island, Fusion of Destinies 2. They all three of those stories have drama elements to them, like heavy drama elements, stuff like that. But I don't like. But I didn't get to the end result. I bet you're wondering, what is the end result if people just if people just read everything and like it based on this? Then they're more than likely reading a average or below average story, and they're only liking and commenting the story based off that fad, based off that character, based off what the synopsis said. It'll appeal to certain people, and they'll like the story and just go into it. So to kind of show what I mean by this is, I'm going to go back to Don't Even Bother, where it's TV. There it is. And I'm actually going to show you some of the reviews. See, amazing, love it. Cute. I love this fixed one. I love the front. See, first off, it's guests. They're all guests. Second off, they don't go into detail of what the chapter is detailing. They're just saying, they're just summing it up in a sentence, or they just saying how cute the character was. But if I go to the last one, please continue, update. I'm looking for this. Interesting. It's very simplistic reviews. They're not talking about what the elements are. They're just showing that they like the story because the story had a Peridot. Peridot at the time, like I said earlier, was an insanely popular character. So of course they weren't even going to look at the quality of the story. And I said in my review of the story, this is basically just an average story. It does not excel at anything, but it doesn't really stink at everything, except for maybe like the other Crystal Gems. So, it kind of makes me wonder why, people are gonna look at all these stories, these average stories, and go, why does this story have so many reviews? Well, it's psychology. It's just people wanting to be popular, wanting to be in the in crowd. And I'm not blaming anyone who wants to do that, because we're human. Human beings are naturally going to do stuff like this. This is just how people work. This is just how, this is just what we are. Look at all the stuff going in Portland. I know, I don't want to be political, but I'm just, pointing. But this doesn't kind of has to do with this. How many of those people riot doing all that looting and stuff like that? Do you think they're doing it because they want to be cool or stuff no? That they want to raid stuff? No, because they think, it's popular, it's a fad. Some of these people who are doing these riotings and these ratings of all these stores and stuff like that are just think that it's just popular. They think it's a popular thing, so they're trying to be in the in crowd. Again, not being popular, that's just what I think. So, off the politics. So, when you look at all of this stuff and you see that, the quality of the stories themselves, you realize that sometimes the most popular stories are basically just either average or not even that good. And then I offer you this tip, like if you're kind of curious about why a story that you don't really like is weirdly popular, go through the reviews, go read like a first reviews, and you'll see stuff like this. You'll see like very, very vague stuff that doesn't really touch upon. And this is another reason why I said this is going to be a blessing and a curse, because if you're very vague and you're not offering constructive criticism, even like the bare minimum of a constructive criticism, you're not helping the author improve, and you're letting kind of stay in a staying spot. Like authors, they're always wanting to improve. They're always wanting to learn new tricks, new tactics, different writing styles, different character styles, different this and different that. And it kind of it's like very curious phenomenon. And yeah, like I said, you can, there's different ways you can interpret this. There's different ways you can comment on this. And it's just a curious phenomenon. So that is actually my discussion on reviews. My final thoughts on this is, do I think reviews are the end-all be-all for whether or not a story is good or not? No. I honestly, I'm more, if I have to tell the truth, I'm more likely to fall for the last thing with the synopsis. If I see a synopsis that I like, of course I'm going to read it. Like that's the most common one. But I would honestly beseech anyone who watches this video, don't automatically assume a story just because it has a bunch of reviews does not make it good. Because all the reviews may mask a mediocre to bad story. People are just trolling. They're just flaming and saying how bad the story is. There may be other factors to it, like fads or characters and stuff like that. I would suggest, again, read the actual reviews, see what's being said about the story. The other thing is, if it's a really long story, I would honestly suggest read the first chapter, and then if you like the first chapter, then just keep going. Like that's the best thought I could tell about this. And that's basically it. I just wanted to talk about this. If I'm going to talk about more stuff like this in relation to certain characters and certain genres and stuff like that, but I wanted to talk about this review thing simply because it was presented to me and I thought it was a cool idea to do a video of. Yeah, thank you, Lady Armister, for giving me the idea. So that is Dark Symphony 777 and cut.